Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I think we did it. I think we are doing it. I know I'm doing it. Just let's see if this is doing it. I feel almost if I had the faintest idea what it would be like to be a proud mama. I feel like when technology is doing its thing. Yay! Okay, quick sip. We have things to discuss. Oh, you know what it is? Here's what it is. It's not the flavor, yes, but it's the heat. It's anyway. First things first. Before we start, I'm sending hugs and hearts and all kinds of stuff to all the people we know, love, and care about who are in the path of some fairly creative and unhappy weather systems that are breaking down the house. And so we're thinking really, really good thoughts for them. And it's tough. It's tough dealing with, and it's tough knowing that, and it's tough taking it in stride and saying, "Oh, I can be upset later. I can worry about it later. Right now, I got to do this," and they are doing it. So we're just sending them a whole bunch of amazing, amazing love. Good morning, Freddie. So Freddie, our friend Charles and his wife Kat are in the kind of path of all that hurricane stuff going on. So, and not just him. I mean, there's all tons of you. It's just that I happen to have realized that that's where he is. So we're sending all the good vibes and hope everybody is staying safe, and that their communities are leaning in the way you guys are leaning in for this, for us, right? And we're all hoping for that. So on that note, another 300 and something views yesterday, or on Tuesday rather. And I'm so excited that there has been some kind of collective decision to find out what I'm talking about, to find out if the things I'm saying, if this path that I'm on, if this don't step there, that's a bog, try this path, it seems clear, is working, is doing anything, is changing anything for you. And the more people who watch, the more people who seem to be staying on through, um, it. I think it is. I think that must be how we know, and it's very cool. It's really very cool. So thank you. If you're not commenting, if you're not chiming in live, it's okay. It takes a while to figure out how to do both. It's taking me a while to figure out how to just do this, let alone that. And so I'm good. I'm delighted that you're watching. I'm delighted that you're taking the time. And if you can't make it on the day at the time, I'm thrilled that you're taking the time later, because that's what it's all about. We do it when we can, as we can. So we now are close to. It's only been a couple of weeks, but we seem to be averaging triple the numbers that we were getting 2 months ago. All right. The topic today is, it turns out that aiming for better than this doesn't take any more work, doesn't take any less commitment. It's exactly the same effort, energy, focus. It's identical. The difference is how we choose to prioritize. Patrick, good morning. Midnight here, so not always able to catch it all the time, but hope everyone is well. Patrick, thank you. It's lovely. It's lovely that you do that. And good morning, Eddie. Well, all right. The gang is gathering. Thanks, Patrick, for letting me know the time difference. I'm only here. So, I I had a couple of very important conversations with very smart people the other day, a couple of days ago. And they were so clever, these people. They were so insightful. They were so um, correct in their math, their if then cause effect math, that it truly felt like a Thor hammer blow. Not that they were beating me up. Um, like they were giving me a love tap here in my third eye to wake me up and to say, hello, is anybody there? Are you listening to you the way you're listening? And I realized that I had been doing the very thing that I wanted to talk to you about, that I have been talking to you about. And it is so insidious and so easy to fall into the pattern of, the routine of, that it does take someone intelligent and clear-sighted and unafraid to speak to say, why are you doing that? What is that for? Do you have any idea what that looks like from the back? And somebody say that to me once about I was trying on a dress. What do you think? I said. The person, have any idea what it looks like from the back? I didn't even look. I just went back in the fitting room, took it off. I don't know. This is why we need people who are helping us, because we cannot see the forest when we are the tree. The idea what it looks like from the back. So, picture I posted this morning on Facebook to lead into this was a picture that Carol took one morning when we went for a late breakfast after she had to drop off her car for some work. And it was one of those, the car will be ready in a couple of hours. So what the hell is she going to do? So we went to have lunch. And we went to this little hole-in-the-wall diner. And the thing is, it could have been a hole-in-the-wall greasy spoon diner. It could have been a 2 eggs side by each, pair of toast facing the sun. It could have been that. And it wasn't. Oh my gosh. Same kind of setup, same kind of location. And by the way, if you can hear the sirens, my windows are open because the air is lovely. They're not coming here, sirens. They had a lot of fruit that they added. And they had a couple of really nice veggie add-ons that weren't mentioned on the menu. And then after that, you know, it was a couple of eggs, and it was a couple of pieces of toast, and etc. And there was coffee. The thing that absolutely blew me away was that they had sort of cartoon salt and pepper shakers, and I think it was the salt. It was a slice of toast with peanut butter on it, with a silly smile and eyes. It looked exactly like me. I said, "Oh look, it's my spirit animal." So Carol took a picture, and you can see me, and you can see this little toasty, the two of us smiling the same way. Now, my question is, roughly the same price as in the car, in a drive-through. Let's get this, yeah, and I'll also have the hash browns, and sure, what the heck, throw in a muffin. Same price. Same price. What's the difference? I didn't have to get out of my car. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a good idea because I love eating off my lap behind the wheel of a car while driving. Well, pull over then. Well, if I've pulled over and parked, why am I not in a restaurant? If I'm seated, parked, why am I not seated at a table with people saying more coffee? What am I doing? And so this is the conversation I want us to have today. I want us to have this conversation about why are we cutting ourselves off? Why isn't, as often as possible, when we have options in front of us, simple, easy options? I'm not talking, gee, shall I stay home or shall I go to Paris? I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, are we going to have a delicious meal with a little special something on the plate that just took another second to add? And are we going to have a cloth napkin instead of a paper towel? Are we going to make it our special choose us moment? Or are we going to say, good enough? What is so essential? What is so immediate and urgent that we have to eat a meal in a car? I get fast food. I think that when you're in a place and they can serve an entire meal in the time it takes me to figure out what I want at home, isn't that fast? If I'm going to spend the whatever it was that you spend now when you go through a drive-through for fast food, you don't get a $1.99 thing anymore. You might get a $1.99 thing, but I'll tell you what it isn't. It isn't the burger with fries. It's a whistle or something. It's not the substance. And so the conversation I want to have is, what if better than this, better than paper towel, takes no extra effort? It just takes deciding, I deserve more. This is me. I'm walking here. Why shouldn't it be special? Because if I'm not being good to me, if I'm not prioritizing me, and here's my message from the last few days, if I'm not establishing my worth and proudly, who will? Who? And I'm not saying that other people don't love us. I'm not saying no one else cares. I'm saying all God's children got busy. We all have stuff. We're all looking for what appears to be the greater value for the input, that the outtake is of equal value to the input. I think we're not doing that. I think in our rush to get there, we're not recognizing that the straight path can also be the scenic route. If you look on a map, and this happened on this happened on Monday. I was going for lunch with this fabulous friend of mine, and I knew well in advance that there was a lot of construction. I mean, they've torn up the road. They're down digging out the gravel, and I don't know what they're doing it, repolishing it and setting it in fabulous settings. And I said to my friend, it's actually the same time to get there. It's a couple of miles further. But on the other side of that, we have a few minutes more. We're just having lunch. And the thing is, we'll avoid all of the clutter and the construction dust and the clatter. And I would much prefer a prettier drive. And we'll drive through, a suburb and the older houses, and they're very pretty, and the trees and the flowers in bloom. And my friend said, what a brilliant idea. So that's what we did. And the route that I had picked, we came out exactly a block on the far side of where we were going, rather than all the way through. Toot your own horn, nobody else will. Well, we can teach them how to play the horn, though, Eddie, and we can orchestrate the melody with them. However, in a sense, I think your teacher was making a good statement. And this is the thing I want to say. And when somebody provides a great comment, and I don't mean to shut it down. However, what I do want to do is add a caveat to it. Many, many things that people say to us, they say as something we understand the how of. Toot your own horn. is a concept, but it's not an instruction. It doesn't tell us what that means in practical terms. And if a teacher says it, shame on the teacher, because how, if we're not already doing it, then it's clear that we don't know how, or it should be clear that we don't know how. And if they're going to teach us the ways of life, they need to teach us how to put on our shoes and where to find the path and how to watch for the pebbles on the way. That, I think, is key. And that is also part of tooting your own horn, is to making sure that your horn is safe and you are ready. I think those are huge, because I don't think we are ready. And that's my longer point to this edit. Ever the editor, Eddie. We aren't ready. We aren't looking where we need to be looking. We are doing that thing that causes me to trip and fall. And that is, I'm actually looking at where I'm headed, not how I'm getting there. I have assumed my feet can find their way. And this is where fine dining with Abby. Absolutely, Freddie. Absolutely. Even if we're parking and walking into the drive-through, there's fine dining for you. When we are not paying attention to how we are progressing, what we are progressing toward, why we think that's our goal, when we're not paying attention to that, we don't get the outcome we were expecting. We get the outcome that is the inevitable solution when you add up the things we are not realizing that we're doing. So if I can borrow a kind of a life lesson thing that did happen recently to Eddie, working in a small business, family-owned business, a couple of crises hit that family itself, turning the whole business into an upheaval. And because it was a very family-oriented small business, everyone on the team felt sort of like adopted members of the family, and certainly were treated that way, or so it seemed. When the dust settled and the decision makers in the family sat up and looked around and said, I'm exhausted, I can't do this anymore. They were so exhausted and so unable to do anything more than their basic self-care, their basic survival. They didn't treat their adopted family like family. They made decisions that were self-focused, family first, choose me, choose you, and left everyone to their own devices. And in conversations, in scenarios like that, and I have a lot of clients who find themselves there, either as the owner or as the very high level inner circle employee. Business is ultimately business. It can be very personal. It can be very passionate. It can be very inclusive in terms of go team go. At the end of the day, the hat we wear as the business owner is owned by this very small, very personal, smallest of the Russian nesting dolls. It is this person, it is this inner us, our inner voice, our survival us that says, I'm done. And quite often is incapable of sticking around to help the executive brain, the CEO, do the biggest, best thing. Quite often they just simply walk away because that's all they've got left. And we all have that. There's no percentage in saying, how could they do that to us? Because they are us and we are they. We are all the little Russian nesting doll with all our many hats, involved in all our many tribes, doing all our many things. But when our initial doll has to say, gotta go, check please. None of the other layers of us are going to stick around. They can't. We are us. Wherever we go, there we are. And it's a big life lesson, because you know what, when you know somebody who when you know somebody who is creative, does a lot of work in the creative community, feels that sense of collaboration and connection, when you all get together and the audience has paid a ticket and they're excited and we're all together behind the curtain waiting for the curtain to go up and we're all together in this, kids, we are tempted to see the world through that lens because we don't know another one. We didn't get raised by another one. This is how we see the world. And this work I'm doing for me as well. And I got caught in my conversation the other day. Crazy, brilliant, wonderful moment. I have no idea how deeply embedded my invisible wiring is. I have no clue how automatic my if, then, think, do, forgot plan is until it happens. Until somebody says, can I ask you a question? Of course. Of course, I say, ask away. I know all and see all. And they say, yeah, well, you have any idea what that looks like from the back? And that happened. And I said, well, look at that. Huh. Look at that. My bad. Thank you. And then my friend, oh, I hope I didn't mean, no. Brilliant. Because I didn't see it. Because I am a tree. The forest is there. And not a single one of those trees in that forest said, have you seen what you look like from the back? So our actions speak. Our actions spread a message. And if our actions are triggered by the programming our subconscious brain is using, survival decisions our subconscious brain is using based on history. If it works, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Except that it was broke. It was the option at the time. Part of my point today is this. That time when that option was the right one has been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a while since that was true. And, this part of our brain knows it. Oh, yeah, I know. Gosh, that was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, gosh, it's a while. Yeah, it's never like that, really, is it? But this part of the brain isn't listening in on that conversation. This part and this part, they very seldom connect. Very seldom. And I'll tell you when they do. I'll tell you when mine did. It was the other day. Boof. Resonated all the way through to the back. Subconscious goes, what the hell was that? Here we go. If you don't prioritize you, who will? If you don't say, I choose me, who will? If you don't say, I deserve, who will? And the answer is no one. The answer is, why would they? We teach people how to treat us. All human beings learn by mirroring the behavior of the people we're with. If I don't value me, then the person I'm with won't value me either. Why would they? Apparently, that's not how it's done here. Can't think why. But everybody likes to go along to get along to fit in. It takes somebody pragmatic and strong and curious and fearless to say, do you have any idea what that looks like from the back? Or the front? Or the side? Or top down? What are you doing? And it gives you pause, because clearly I was on autopilot. Clearly I was surviving in that moment, in this moment. Clearly I was weighing the bigger picture options, the greater good, saying, well, I'll take this one for the team, but I'm thinking of that team, not this one. Because the subconscious is the one making these autopilot decisions. And it only knows the present. Everything that happened, everything that will happen, everything that is happening are all happening now. Now, all of them. As I've said several times, Stacy, good morning. What have you said here? It took you a long time. Yeah. So, all friends message me. Is that a spam alert? Okay, let me just get rid of that. No, what am I doing? Add to block list. There we go. Thank you. Abby, hello from Montreal, Klingons. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hi, hon. We have Montreal Klingons in the house, kids. Yes. No, thank you. Eddie, thank you. I saw the spammer alert and I blipped it. Thanks. So here's so cool. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. A Klingon. Klingons and Vikings, you wouldn't think they would get along, and yet. So here's the conversation that I'm having with myself right now, and that I think it's important because I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it when I'm seeing it echoing back at me through the conversations I'm having with other people. Okay. And you're very welcome, Stacy. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for commenting. Thank you, Ivana. Thank you. It's so cool to see you all. Yay. This is what I want us to do. I want us to be, I've got your back, pals, in this beautiful tribe we're building. If you're prepared to say to me, have you seen what that looks like from the back? You want to start checking you in your handheld mirror over your shoulder, looking into the mirror. We all need to take better care of us. If better than this takes the same effort, and it does, it's exactly the same effort, why wouldn't we choose better? Why would we say, oh, well, good enough? Why would we do that? It makes no sense. So in my case, I'm about to do a caveat because, you can't help yourself when your ego's in the way. In my case, I thought I was doing something for the greatest good. But that was an inconvenient or a convenient little excuse I was making for myself. Here's the thing that was my pattern. My pattern was that because there was so much uncertainty in my life, and because it required of me to be so aware and so ready. And it, in order to feel safe, in order for me to feel safe, I developed preemptive behavior. I developed pattern study, profiling study, so that I had a better shot at predicting what might happen. If I could see it coming sooner, then I could be ready sooner and less thrown for a loop. That's how I learned. That was my coping mechanism as a child in the military, with no kind of warning, not really. There were lots of times when there was advance warning, but as a small child, you don't always pay attention to the conversations your parents are having. And more times than not, in our up and down life, I remember coming home from school and discovering that the living room had boxes in it, moving boxes, packing boxes that had been delivered, because apparently we were leaving, and apparently I wasn't going to be in the school play next week. And apparently I wasn't going to graduate and go to prom with the people I'd gone to school with. And to my knowing in that moment, it was the first I'd heard of it. I probably had heard before. I probably hadn't understood what was being said, or I hadn't paid attention because I was not paying attention. I was not facing the front, or I was not old enough to understand what the sentence was. In any case, that's part of my wiring. That is why I'm helpful to you, for my clients. Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Freddie. We look out for each other. Because good enough isn't a beauty. So what is very, very important to realize is this. It's great to have the awareness. It's great to have the recognition tools. When Eddie explained what had happened to him, I said, okay, I've got a concept I want you to take a look at and see if you like, see if it resonates. And if it does, I'll help you work your way through it. Because it's a strategic way to rebrand, reposition yourself, that is written for the person who's looking for people. It is designed to preemptively help them put us at the top of the pile by answering their questions before they ask them, by making the variables neat and tidy and clear, so that they can say, well, this is a list. I have no idea what they mean. And this is exactly what we're looking for. Let's take that. Either candidate could be equally good. This one, though, even before they decide to hire, is helping the person doing the interviewing. It's one of the things that I teach to people who are looking for a career shift is this. Nobody thinks about this. The owner of the company, the owner of the business, the person in charge of whatever, does not wish to have to go through this, is exhausted and reluctant, because what has happened is business has grown exponentially, and a line has been crossed. And that line is, we have enough people to get it all done. And every business owner and every decision maker and every team leader tries to stall their way past that line, overworking, exhausting, stressing out the existing employees until they finally have a meeting upstairs and say, okay, you know what, we gotta do this. We gotta bite the bullet, find the money, and hire somebody, because we're gonna lose all our people. And we're not gonna be delivering. We're starting to lose quality on both sides of the thing. We're losing quality in our product and our service, and we're gonna lose our quality people. And so then they reluctantly make that decision. It's not done yet, though. They've simply made the decision. Now they have to sit through the interviews, and they don't want to be there. And the end of the interview is they're going to have to give away money to somebody. They don't even know if it's going to work. They're not happy. The primary first thing is they're not happy. So what I have done is I have figured out a little template, a little process to use that elevates my chances of being the one they choose by giving them the opportunity to get past the burdensome part of the interview, to get them excited about the opportunity to have this person who has done so much in such a short time without being asked. I wonder what they'll do when we start paying them, is going on in their head. That's the process that I've developed, that I show my clients, I teach my clients, and they pay me well for. That's the process that enables people to come together, people who are normally not facing the same way, even though the outcome is the same, even though the goal, as Freddie said, we're in this together, and you look amazing by the Stacy, thank you. Freddie says we look out for each other. Yes, we do. The fact is, we're looking out for each other from opposite sides of the goal. The owner of the football team and the player on the team want the same outcome. They want to win, but they go at it from different perspectives, and they put different things on the line. And this is where we forget, because we're only looking through our eyes. So what I have been doing systematically, without paying attention, is I have been ignoring the fact that those emergency measures, not those emergency measures that I implemented as a child, I'm still using. I'm still compensating for people who might be. I'm compensating for people who might be struggling. And in the process of choosing to compensate for people who might be struggling, I'm not choosing me. Where is door number 3? Door number 3 is the proposal. Door number 3 is this technique I have. Door number 3 is this conversation I create that tells the person who is reluctant but resigned, reluctant to buy in, resigned to the fact that they must, if they wish to grow and thrive. It's not my job to carry them through that decision. And that's what I have done. That's what I have been doing over and over and over again, without knowing, not because I don't see my value. It's because my subconscious was making that decision faster than my conscious saw coming and going. And that friend of mine said, "What are you doing?" And I often say that this brain and that brain, they don't connect. Yeah, they do sometimes. I'm gonna give you a thing. You will, when you think about it, you'll see it. When we do something and we touch someone in a way that changes their perceptions dramatically, transformatively, that shift only happens when the intuitive and the logical get it at the same time, at exactly the same time. The subconscious feels it, and the thinking brain hears it, and they both respond. Conscious brain triggers speech. The subconscious brain is pre-verbal. There is no conversation. There is no language. There are no words. So when those two brains resonate, recognizing something at the same time that we have said, the sound the person makes is this. They do this. Their eyes go a little blank, and they go, huh. And nothing moves. Their face doesn't move. They don't go, oh my God. No, that's here. When we say or do something and both brains grasp it at this same moment, huh, and that rewires something. All we need to do for them, with them, is repeat it enough, not to be annoying, but repeat it enough so that that rewiring moment becomes solid. Because once we know a thing, we really know a thing, we can't unknow it. Since my conversation with this friend of mine, I'm every so often I'm doing something and I stop and I think, allowed to operate machinery. And I've written stuff down, because what I'm doing is I'm solidifying it. I'm reminding myself. I'm saying, "Are you listening to you? You I need to know this, and I need to know it front and center, and I need to know it in the back. I need to know it in every way I make decisions." And so do we all. So do we all. When Eddie and I were talking, and I said, "You know this thing that you did? That's not about this. You respond here the way you responded there, but there isn't here." And that mindset, that group think, that focus, that purpose isn't this one. So that process is completely unattached to this system. And sooner or later, there will be an oops. And sure enough, there was. And fortunately, my good friend Eddie is a very, very smooth and smart and observant and thoughtful and creative person. Carried away in those things? Yes. Carried away in that old behavior? Yes, just like me, just like all of us. However, when I said, and he said, I've been thinking that. I've been thinking that. Not in so many words, but yeah, that was it. There's a phrase I used to use a lot. I really like it. It's complicated to say, but I really like the intention. I used to say that every so often, when we're not comfortable with something, it's a loose toothishness. You know, when you have a loose tooth and your tongue won't let it alone, once your tongue finds it, your tongue keeps going over and woggling the loose tooth. And you don't really want to put your fingers in there in case you now have a free floating tooth, but your tongue can't let it go. Your tongue is saying, "Yeah, but why is it doing that?" And so when we stumble on something that is so close really, but I don't know, it's not necessarily that we think there's a dishonesty or a duplicity necessarily, although it can be. We just get the feeling that I don't know, something. I'm not seeing something. That's my loose toothishness. But I stopped saying it because it's complicated. What I'm talking about today is this. It's a really stressful time. A year ago, I started feeling in my bones that 2024 was going to be complicated. All stuff can be complicated. But I was getting the feeling that something about 2024 was going to be different. Some cumulative effect. Trickle, trickle, nothing, 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 boom, right? That kind of thing. Something isn't right. Loose toothishness is yeah, but different perspective. Have you looked at it from the back? Yeah, the thing is, Eddie, it's not have you looked at it, because you haven't. The question is, do you have any idea what that looks like from the back? Because what they're asking is, are you aware you're doing it anyway? Which is so much funnier. What? No. And when she said it, I didn't even want to know. The fact that she's asking, that was good enough for me. Nope. So here's the thing about 2024. For whatever reason, I said to myself, I'm going to take more care. I'm going to consciously pay attention and take more care of me. I'm going to do more preemptive, get ahead of the breaking wave preparation on purpose, consciously decide. Write it down every day at the top of my later folder as a reminder, because we get busy. And I saw something yesterday and I said to myself, that's part of this we're going to talk about. And I want to see how long I'm going. Okay, still not too bad. All right, here's the thing. There was a political event yesterday and actually there were two that I know of, two that are in my immediate foreground. One was a recognition and a remembrance of 9/11, and the other was a political debate. Both of them impacting the lives of a lot of people, not in the same way that a global pandemic would, could, did, or a hurricane, or some kind of raging condition. Not in the same way, however powerful. And this is the takeaway. Hang on a second. This is what we forget. This is what is so important to pay attention to. This is why we need the later folder. This is why we need to do this homework. This is why we need to have this conversation. And that we're having it after the fact was deliberate on my part, because I am showing you where you were in this conversation today. I am showing you where we all were if we weren't preparing ourselves, if we weren't protecting ourselves, if we weren't readying ourselves. And I am talking about the ways that we can do our best not to allow that to happen to us again. Better than this takes no greater effort. It simply takes a shift in focus and priority. Same focus, same effort, different intention. That's all. So here's what happened. We were remembering the shock, the blindsided feeling we had, the alarm, the grief, the incredible overpowering sadness at the memory of 9/11. As do we all during any scenario in which people are unspeakably inhumane. It is not only an attack on us, it is an attack on us, by us. And it's devastating. And if we are not looking after ourselves, if we are not hugging ourselves, if we are not giving ourselves the time to say, I'm just going to take a minute. I'm just going to do my 60-second breathing and reset. I'm going to do my 30-second breathing and reset. I'm going to do some self-care. If we are not doing that, this brain goes into freeze mode and we shift into functioning freeze. And we are no longer present. We are the going through the motions. We're not living. We're reacting. We're not responding. We're not choosing. We're allowing our path to be chosen. So that was the lead in. And it was a lead in for several days. And I think a full moon of some sort, which has all kinds of, electromagnetic stuff for a lot of people. And then many of us chose to watch, listen, pay attention to a political debate broadcast. I don't care what they represent. I don't care what name they call the group they say they belong to. I don't care what the individual choices that the group represents are. I care that they are fit for the office they want to hold, because so much is dependent on those decisions. So many lives are impacted. I care that people are paying attention. I care because I'll tell you what's difficult. It's difficult to choose to be a public person. You have to put yourself first in a lot of places. You have to make tough decisions that don't take into consideration a lot of people. Every leader has to make incredibly painful decisions, knowing that no matter what they do, lives will be compromised. Every leader does, and it's an incredibly difficult, responsible job that they take on. And all I want to know is, do they have the capacity for it? Do they have the willingness? Do they have the intention? No matter how many mistakes they make, do they have the intention to do better? That's all I want to know. So here's what happened that people aren't realizing. Here's what happened, and I saw it today. I saw it late last night. I had to shut off my social media, and I had to have a little talk with myself to get it away from me, because it was insidious and it was toxic and it was not healthy. And I'm going to tell you what it was without telling you what it was. One of the people in the debate made a remark that was beyond reasonable. Beyond reasonable. And it was so bizarre, so astonishingly loopy on the face of it, that everybody jumped on it gleefully, and have jumped on it, created visuals, and everybody's gleefully enjoying it. And they're repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it because of how loopy it was, how completely off the wall it appeared to be on the surface. And everybody's focused on it. You know what you can't do when you're focused on one thing? You can't see the other. If you get all the people to look over here, they don't see what's going on over there. They're all caught up in the thing you got them to look at, no matter how loopy it is on the surface. And what if the loopy thing on the surface, what if the person who saw it and heard it had no sense of humor? What if the person who saw it and heard it had no sense of abstract? What if the person who saw it and heard it thought it was true if they had no sense of abstract or sense of humor? Do you want to know who that person is? It's our subconscious. Our subconscious sees a visual and says we have choices. Fight, flee, freeze, hide, comply. Man the lifeboats. Danger, danger. Even if it's loopy, even if it's on the surface of it ridiculous. This part of our brain does not know that. It only knows survive. That's its job. That is where its focus is. That is where the emotions are. So now the emotions are in high gear, high adrenaline. When we're in high panic adrenaline, driven by fear, We're not capable of thinking because this is bigger than that. This was versed. This is the Johnny come lately. And when I saw it and I realized I had looked at it more than 2 or 3 times, I thought, okay, I have to, how do I avoid it? Well, shut it off. I don't need to be looking at this stuff. I shut it off, and then I got out my later folder and I wrote in my later folder and I said, let's send that whole thing back where it came from. I have more important things to focus on. I am focusing on more important things. I do not choose this as my energy, as my fuel, as my trigger. I do not choose this. I choose love. I choose listening. I choose connection. I choose better. Takes no more effort. It just takes focus. That's what I choose. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. That's how I'm going to lead up to this. So if you are by any chance seeing, watching, investing, not realizing that you're investing in that moment, that event, that conversation, that trigger mechanism, if you're not realizing that you're focusing on something that sounds like danger, oh, well, we all know it isn't. We may know it isn't, but we don't know it isn't. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Set it aside. Thank you very much. No longer needed. Go back where you came from. I have more important things to do. Oh, what is the more important thing to do, boys and girls? Choose you. Choose you. Hug you. We are in this together. 2024 is a colorful year. People I love and care about are in the paths of some fascinating weather. Some of it Mother Nature and some of it man-made. And I'm not talking about climate change. I want to end by telling you the thing that I tell every author client. When we write a book, the first reason we write it is to take something out of our heart and out of our head and get it onto a page where at arm's length we can see it and look at it over there, and it doesn't keep us awake at night. Happy or sad, it doesn't keep us awake at night because we have put it over there where we can manage it from a safe distance and we can get a better perspective of what it means. That is our first reason for investing the time and the passion in writing the book in the first place. In the process of doing that, we are not writing the book for anybody but us. It's our book. I'm writing a book. It's our book. I've written a book. It's my first book. The first time we write it, it's for us. No question, absolutely guaranteed. Good for you. Hallelujah. Now then, what would you like the book to do? Do you want to sell the books? Well, yes, I want to sell the book. Okay. So that means you want somebody else to give an exchange of value of some kind in exchange for the book. Well, yeah, I want them to buy the book. Okay. So they'll give you money. They'll work hard, they'll earn the money, and they will hand that money over to you. And in exchange for handing that money over to you, and you hand them the book, whose book is it now? It's my book. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Did they buy it? Yes. Then it's their book. Well, I wrote it. Yes, you did. Who bought it? They did. Then it's their book. Okay. If it's their book, then we need to write it for them so they have the same revelation in their life for them, about them, so they can choose them. Correct? Yeah. Okay. Then the first version of the book is your book. And the version we publish for them is theirs. So every author always writes 2 books. Every one of us, every day, is the author of our own story. Every day. Fresh book every day. 2 books. The one we write for us and the adaptation that we write so that other people derive value in knowing us. That is the glue that connects us, that the story includes us all. That's our job. It's hard work. It requires being conscious, and it requires paying attention and honoring the 2 different brains and how they operate. Stop looking at the memes that poke fun and ridicule, because we are teaching ourselves that that's okay. If we're buying into it, if we're enjoying it, we're sharing it, that's what we're focusing on. That is what we are hardwiring in our brain, that it's okay to poke fun at other people who are different. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So we can stop. We can shut it off. We can turn the page. We can change the conversation. We can reach out to each other. We can get a handheld mirror so that we know what it looks like from the back. All right, my loves. Weird week. Weird, crazy week. Good week, though. Amazing week. Revelations all over the place. Aha moments everywhere. So as I leave you before this weekend, and many things coming, it's sweater weather. It's sweater weather. A friend of mine, Jeremy, he's already decorated his house for Halloween. He's got it everywhere. He put up a picture and I said, oh, so no decorations this year? Everywhere. I posted a thing. It's person, they were selling watermelons and they had a sign on their farm stand that said watermelons only. Now it's pumpkins. And so every year when I see it, I make fun of it. This year I said, oh, I can fix it for you. And above it, I put pumpkin spice watermelons. Lots of people said, we can shift our perspective. We can shift our ownership of what is going on by deciding to choose us, by deciding to say, you know, that doesn't actually feel healthy. I think I'll stop. It takes no more effort. It simply takes, oh, how long has that been there? That's all it takes. And oh, by the way, that Pivotry emotion. Okay. Weekend. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it too. And I will see you next week. All of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for commenting today. Thank you so much to the new people who checked in. It's so